Hi everybody, I'm Gio, and this story is called The Dare. It appeared on my other channel, but I called it Sushi back then. I had to recreate it because the original was on my old laptop, which died. In many ways, this is a brand new story. Let's begin. It started years ago. My weekend birthday celebration for my 18th birthday. Our parents had gone to bed upstairs and left me a cake that said, "Happy 18, Hunter." All my friends were there, as well as Marty, my older brother. He came home from college to supervise me, and he brought a couple of his friends. We had pizza and cola and watched a ton of videos. Just before midnight, we tired of videos and we talked. Somewhere in there, we played Truth or Dare. It was my turn, and I said, "Truth." Marty asked me, "Who would you like to have sex with?" The answer was simple. His name was Christian, Marty's best friend, and he was in the room with us. I hadn't told anybody I was gay. I lied. That supermodel named Margarite. The problem was also simple. Marty knew when I lied. He jumped up, yelling, "Liar," and tickle-tortured me as only my big brother could until I screamed. "Tell the truth or take the dare," one of my friends said. "What's the dare?" I asked. Marty got this weird look in his eye, and he gave an insane grin at Christian. "How much money do you owe me?" "About 50. Why?" Christian said. "Hunter, for your dare, you kiss Christian on the lips for 15 seconds. If Hunter does this, Christian, you'll only owe me 40, Marty said. "You want me to kiss your brother for $10? No way. Make it 20, Christian said. 20 it is. Hunter, tell the truth or kiss Christian, Marty said. How could I tell the truth when telling the truth and kissing Christian were the same thing? I blew a breath out and rubbed the back of my neck. This was a birthday surprise I never expected. Christian and I quickly sat next to each other on the old couch, and I folded my arms. I wanted this, but if I wanted this too much, everybody would know I was gay. There was an awkward pause. Christian gave me a weird half smile, and we leaned in. I can't believe I'm doing this. We pressed our lips together and kissed. Oh my God, it was something special. His lips were warm and strong, and I didn't want to stop. Somebody had turned on the fireworks. Everybody started giggling or laughing. "Dude, you've been kissing a guy for 30 seconds, one of my friends yelled. "You had to tell Hunter and Christian. I was seeing how long they would go," Marty said. Christian and I backed away, and my face felt 100 degrees warmer. "Not bad," Christian whispered. I think I was the only one that heard him. Not bad at all. That was 4 years ago. My lust had turned into a genuine crush that I never had the courage to act on. Christian was the man who got away. He and Marty became roommates at the dorm, and when they graduated, they shared a 2-bedroom apartment. I saw Christian a couple of times a year. I finally came out to my family at a Sunday dinner, but it didn't go as I thought. Dad didn't say anything, but stared at his phone, and Mom gave me a quick smile, followed by an odd look in her eyes, and said, "That's not appropriate dinner conversation. Keep it to yourself, dear." "We will not talk about this again," Dad said. Marty said, "Pass those rolls this way." Had he even heard me? The last time I had seen Christian was last Christmas, when my folks had their annual Christmas party. Christian and Marty were playing ping pong and flirting with the girls. I played games on the big screen with my cousins, and wishing I could spend the holiday with Christian. I avoided Christian because I didn't know what to do around him or what to say. I loved him, I wanted him, and he was forever the forbidden fruit. It's now late April, Friday. Finals were in a week. I'm a junior majoring in business, minoring in English. I drove home to do laundry and to escape the madness of my roommate. He's a musician who hums constantly, and when he's not humming, he's working on a song on his guitar. He's pretty good. Usually it's not a problem. Today it was. I had a mother of a final research paper for my comparative mythology class, due Tuesday, that was still in note card form. I needed a lot of quiet time. I drove up to my parents' place in my old white Honda Accord. It was a stick shift, a little beat up, and I hadn't washed it since January or February. It used to be the family car back when I was in high school. But when my parents got a new car, a brand new black Mustang, they sold me the Accord for a couple grand. Marty's silver Chevrolet 4x4 was in the driveway, next to the Mustang. I parked on the street, slung my pack over one shoulder, my laptop case over the other, and carried my laundry bag. Since I wasn't pumping quarters into the laundromat, I might as well wash everything. Sheets, towels, the sweaty clothes I worked out in, plus my 2 regular loads, one of lights and one of darks. Mom opened the door for me as I approached. "Hunter, how was the drive from Vegas?" "Once I got out of the Vegas traffic, I did 90 all the way here," I said. Mom gave me a quick kiss and took the laundry bag from me. "I'm glad you got here a little early so we could say hi." "You going somewhere?" I asked, setting my laptop case and pack on the sofa. "Aunt Rita called. Your grandmother fell," Mom said. "Is she all right?" I asked. "We're leaving for Reno to check on things and should be back Monday," Dad said, carrying 2 suitcases. "Why's Marty here?" I asked. "Can you believe it? Their water heater broke this afternoon, flooded everything, and their complex won't replace it until Monday. Some company has set up fans to dry everything out, and their manager told them to find a motel. So Marty and Christian packed what they needed and are staying here this weekend," Dad said. "I'm sorry, but you'll have to sleep on the couch. We already said Christian could sleep in your old bed," Mom said. That made sense. Marty and I had shared a room until he moved out, and my parents had left the room alone. The irony also made me smile. I had wanted Christian in my bed a long time ago. "That's fine, Mom. I'll only be here until Sunday," I said, stilling my breath and my libido. "You guys can eat anything in the fridge. Start with the sushi. We ordered them for lunch," Dad said. "That's because somebody bought more than we could eat. Hunter, if you don't eat them tonight, we'll have to throw them out," Mom said. Dad chuckled and kissed Mom. "We could take them with us." "I'm not being in a car with you for 5 hours smelling your fish breath," Mom said. I went outside and watched Mom and Dad drive off, then went inside and started the first load of laundry. I had 4 loads total. Once it was started, I took the stairs 2 at a time down to the family room. The bedroom I had shared with Marty was off to the one side, and the storage room off to the other. It was a nice place, but Marty and Christian had tossed their gear atop the old ping-pong table and were currently playing some game on the PlayStation. Marty looked the same as I remembered, but Christian must have been working out. He wore an old t-shirt with the sleeves ripped off and half the sides, old black knee-length athletic shorts, and a thin silver chain was around his neck. His legs and feet were bare. His sandals sat on the floor next to him. Though Christian was born in America, his parents were Czech. He had dark, rumpled hair that could use a trim, laughing eyes, and skin that tanned rather than burned. Whatever he'd been doing to work out was working. Defined arms, broad shoulders. I bet he had a 6-pack under that shirt. Marty and Christian were so engrossed in killing enemy soldiers, they never even noticed me. Then Christian turned his head a little and saw me. He nodded and said, "Hey." My heart did backflips. I mumbled, "Hey," and ran upstairs. The same thing happened every time I looked at Christian. Call me a love-struck teenager. Writing the paper this weekend was going to be harder than I thought. Well, the first load was in the washer. I spread out all the note cards I had prepared across the dining room table. Sorting and organizing, I came up with an outline, adjusted the order a little, and wrote, starting with page 1. The opening premise seemed weak to me, but I'll worry about that after I have the rough draft done. When the washer buzzed, I had the first page of 10 done, more or less. I transferred the first load to the dryer and put in the second load. "How come you didn't come down and say hi?" Marty said, entering the dining room and heading for the kitchen. "Hey, Marty, I did, but you and Christian were too busy killing things to notice me," I said, and eased my back into a long stretch. Christian followed Marty. I looked at him, he looked at me, and I froze. His jaw hardened. "Mom said you were working on a paper and doing some laundry," Marty said, opening the fridge. He bypassed the container of sushi and went straight for the gallon of milk. He opened it and took a long gulp. He reached back in and tossed Christian a cola. To say anything, I had to turn away from Christian. 10-page are due Tuesday, so I might as well do laundry while I'm working. "Dude, it's Friday night. Give it a rest. Come down and join me and Christian. We haven't played these old games for years. It will be like we were in high school again. We'll order pizza, snack on chips. We'll make it a party," Marty said. "That sounds fun. Hunter, take a break and join us," Christian said. It would be fun, but if I did, I would miss out on some prime working time. I wanted to hang out with Christian, because we only see each other a few times a year. And if I did, I'd probably make a fool of myself. My family barely acknowledged I was gay, and even though I had told Marty, he wasn't paying attention. Besides, once I started playing games, I would be at it all night. Like it or not, school must take priority. I wish I could, but I have to get this done this weekend. Maybe tomorrow night, I said. Christian frowned and went downstairs. "Hunter, sometimes you have to cut loose or you're going to go crazy and drive the people you love bonkers," Marty said. "Go play the game, and if I get enough done, I'll join you," I said. "Whatever," Marty said, taking the jug of milk with him down to the game room. Once they'd left, I focused on the next stack of notes, or tried to. Christian's quiet voice seemed to carry. "See, I told you Hunter would come up with some excuse." "You're being too sensitive. Let's get pizza later," Marty said. If Christian only knew how much I enjoyed that kiss, or how much I had fallen for him. Still, this was my parents' house, and they didn't want me talking about my sexuality. All I thought about was how much fun I had kissing Christian all those years ago. Wouldn't it be fun to do it again? Admit it, that was a one-time only deal. Christian was straight, and my family didn't want me rocking the boat and talking about me being gay. I don't think Mom and Dad would handle knowing I've had a couple of boyfriends since going to school. I did get a second page written by the time I had to change laundry. I put all the towels in the washing machine and the wet clothes in the dryer. The final load would be my sheets. After quickly folding the first load, I set it on the couch and prepared my sheets. Christian yelled something downstairs. Wouldn't it be nice to join them? Wouldn't it be nice to tell Christian how I felt? And it would be nicer if he was gay. Had Marty told Christian I was gay? With the way our family communicated, that would never happen. I went back to the paper and started page 3. It took only a minute to organize the cards and stare at my laptop. Halfway through the page, the front door opened, and my brother yelled, "Christian, hurry it up." Then the door closed. I had to have something to drink. Maybe something to munch on would keep me going, and a cola would taste good too. Would the sushi still be good? I saved the file, grabbed a glass, and went to the fridge. My folks had tons of leftovers, including the sushi rolls, and some apple juice. The sushi wouldn't last until tomorrow, so why not finish it? I grabbed the apple juice and the container of sushi rolls. "Could you tell me if I've done something to upset you?" Christian said. Startled, I turned, balancing the container of sushi rolls and the container of apple juice. I smashed into Christian. The containers flew. Christian was only inches away, and he smelled of Versace. Part of me pretended that he wore it for me. A simple silver chain graced his neck. His surprised smile made my heart ache. Up close, the ripped shirt revealed more of his body than I expected. His broad chest, the way his nipples poked against the pale fabric, the hint of trimmed chest hair, the tightness of his skin, his dark, rumpled hair. His breath smelled of cola, and his eyes were wide, almost pleading. His hair seemed so silky, so beautiful. I wanted to touch it. "I dare you to kiss Christian," Marty had said 4 years ago. I did, and I loved it. I wanted to feel his lips on mine again, feel his hands in my hair, feel his arms about me. I wanted to hear him whisper, "I love you," as we lay in bed, his hand gentle on my skin. He was only inches away. I leaned in and met his lips with mine and kissed him. Christian's lips didn't respond. He backed up, slightly shaking his head. Christian wiped his mouth with the back of his hand. An instant horror swallowed my gut. What had I done? Christian was hot. Christian was straight. Christian was my brother's best friend. I had kissed him. I can't believe I did that. What do I say? What do I do? I'm the freak of the family. "Christian, I'm sorry. I didn't mean," I said. The horn honked as my brother slammed on it. His eyes lowering a little, Christian stared at me. His smile vanished. A second later, Christian had disappeared out the door. What would he tell my brother? What had I done? I had kissed my brother's best friend, uninvited. We weren't dating, hardly knew each other, only saw each other a couple of times a year. He was straight, and I had kissed him. Oh, God! What had I done? What do I say? What do I do? How do I explain to anybody what I had just done? My brother would hate me. Christian would hate me. If my parents ever found out, what would they say? They never wanted to talk about gay issues or my feelings, but now they wouldn't even want to talk to me. Why did I come home? I could have plugged my earbuds in and ignored my roommate, or gone to the library and worked on the paper all night, or even gone to the student services building and drank coffee and eaten French fries while I worked. The man I secretly loved would hate me. What do I do? What do I say? "Christian, I love you," would be the worst thing I could say. Christian was straight. There was no way I could explain the kiss. There was no way I could face Christian again. Ever. What have I done? I have to get out of here before Christian and my brother get back. My sheets could wait another weekend to get washed, but the towels in the washer, they were wet. I quickly took out the mostly dry clothes from the dryer and stuffed the wet towels into the dryer and turned it to high. I'd give it 10 minutes while I packed everything else away. I closed up my laptop and carefully packed my note cards and my papers. I stuffed what I could in my pack. I folded the slightly damp clothes and the dirty sheets and put them in the duffel, and then ran back for the towels. They were still wet. I had to get out of here. I left them in the dryer and took the laptop case, my duffel, and my pack to my car and stowed them in the back seat. 1 load to go, and I would be out of here. How would I explain leaving to Marty? If Christian didn't say anything, perhaps I could use the excuse, "I forgot something at my dorm." If Christian had told my brother, I would be known as the creep, and Marty would tease me for the next decade. I wouldn't dare show my face for any family function. With one little act, I had ruined my life. I had kissed Christian. Would anybody ever understand? I barely understood. What tells or not, I had to leave. I ran back inside, pulled the towels from the dryer, just as a truck pulled up. Marty and Christian were back. That didn't take long. "Of course I'm still dating her," Marty said. "Well, considering dating her." "Give it up. With looks like hers, you don't stand a chance," Christian said. "I'll get your door and the beer. You take the pizzas," Marty said. "Are you sure Hunter likes chicken and bacon on white sauce? Isn't it supposed to be barbecue sauce?" Christian said. "Hunter's weird like that. It's been his favorite since he was 5, Marty said. The truck door closed. They were coming. What do I do? I folded the damp towels as Marty and Christian walked in. I avoided looking at Christian. "Come down and join us for pizza and beer. We got your favorite," Marty said. "Give me a minute to finish folding the towels and put them in my car," I said, hoping I sounded normal. It didn't sound like Christian had told Marty anything, which in a way made it worse. A bead of sweat rolled down my ribs. How could I explain to either Christian or Marty what had happened? I had to get back to the dorms. Maybe this whole thing would blow over if I wasn't around. Maybe Christian would forget about what I had done. "Need a hand?" Christian said. What do I say? What do I say? What do I say? If he comes with me, I can't leave. No, I've got it covered. Go on downstairs and I'll be there in a few minutes. "Come on, Christian," Marty said. As soon as they disappeared downstairs with the pizzas and beer, I took the folded towels and the lump of unfolded towels and ran for my car. This had turned into the worst night of the year, maybe of the decade. At the very least, I had made a fool of myself. It was more likely that Christian would hate me, and my brother would torment me forever. My parents would kick me out of the family. How am I expected to put this paper together for Tuesday with all this going on? Trust me to screw up my life. I dumped the towels in the back seat, made sure my pack and my laptop were secure, then took my seat behind the wheel. Marty would call me in a little while. I put the key in the ignition. I was safe. The front door opened. My heart rate spiked. Christian came outside. I wish things were different. I wish we could have been close. I wish I hadn't ruined things between us. I started the car and shifted the gear to first. Christian jogged over and opened the passenger door and climbed in. "Where are you going?" "I was in the mood for French fries, so I'm getting some." "Go back inside," I lied. "I know a place that makes really good fries, so I'll come with you," Christian said. "Just go back inside, okay?" I said. "Sure, after we get the fries, except you weren't going to get fries, were you?" Christian fastened his seatbelt and placed his hand on mine. "No," I admitted. "Just forget about me, okay?" "Drive. Take a right at the light. Why were you leaving?" Christian said. I drove to the main road and turned right. We drove a moment before I spoke. "I'm gay, and ever since Marty dared us to kiss 4 years ago, I've had a crush on you. I left because I had made things super awkward." "You never said anything about liking me. Why?" Christian asked. "Mom and Dad are super uncomfortable talking about anything gay, so the subject was taboo at home. I didn't really come out until I went to the dorms," I said, focusing on the road and not on Christian. My hands had turned cold, but my face felt warm. Christian finally directed me to the old railroad junction park, and after I parked, Christian and I began walking along the dark paths. We sat on a bench in the shadows, and I stared at my hands. "I'm sorry about kissing you tonight," I mumbled. Something burned in my eyes. "I think you can do better," Christian said. Christian's right. That was a pretty lame apology, and the shame crept up my spine. "I am very, very sorry for kissing you. What I did was inappropriate," I said quietly. Something dribbled from my eye. "I'm sorry. Our first kiss 4 years ago meant something special to me. I never forgot it." Christian eased over next to me, lifted my head, and tenderly wiped the tear. When he spoke, it was with a softness I'd never heard from him before. "I wasn't talking about apologizing. I was talking about the kiss. I think you can do better. Now give me a kiss that's worth apologizing for." "What?" I asked. Our first kiss meant a lot to me, too. I've dated a lot of women and a lot of men, but I couldn't get you out of my mind. I've always wanted to try that kiss again. See if it was just as magical. Earlier, when you kissed me, it almost was. I want to do it again, with no one around, just you and me, and see where it goes," Christian said. "What if it goes nowhere?" I asked. "Let's find out," Christian said. This time, our kiss woke a need, a desperation, a longing, an intensity that left me breathless. "I think I love you," I panted, slipping Christian's shirt over his head and tossing it on the bench. I laid my head on his warm shoulder. "We better buy French fries so Marty doesn't get suspicious," Christian said, gently caressing my cheek, his lips almost touching mine. "French fries, lots of French fries," I whispered, and our lips brushed against each other's. It was a while before we left the park. I don't know how long we were gone, but when we finally returned to the house, Marty was sitting on the front porch. One of the pizzas sat next to him, as did an empty can of beer. "Where have you two been?" Marty said, eyeing us oddly. Christian and I held hands. Christian's shirt was in his other hand. The package containing the French fries was in my other hand. I leaned against Christian, and he put an arm around my shoulders. My bare shoulders. What happened to my shirt? "We went to get French fries. Can't have a party without fries," Christian said, glancing at me and stifling a chuckle. I raised the sack and showed my brother. I chuckled. "See? French fries, and lots of sauce." My brother stood up, set his beer down, and walked towards us. I should have seen this coming. My gay brother and my bi roommate are dating. Who started it? "You did," Christian said. "Remember when you dared us to kiss?" I said. For a moment, Marty must not have remembered the dare. When he did, he smacked his forehead and said, "Don't tell me. I have to sleep on the couch now, and it's my own fault." Christian and I were kissing on the front porch, in full view of everybody driving by, completely oblivious to whatever. Did anyone notice we were shirtless? Christian knew how to kiss, and I liked the way he kissed. A car drove into the driveway. We ignored it. "Hunter?" Somebody yelled out the window. A woman. I glanced over. "Mom? Dad?" both me and Marty said at the same time. "You're home early. Something happened?" Marty asked. "We didn't even get an hour on the road before the tire went flat, so we decided to restart tomorrow morning," Mom said, climbing out of the car, but her eyes never left me and Christian. Christian placed an arm across my shoulders and grinned and blushed at the same time. "You're cute when you blush," I whispered. Christian kissed my nose. "So are you." My parents' black Mustang was next to Marty's truck. The Mustang's front tire had the smaller, spare tire in place of the regular one. Dad and Mom stood next to each other and were staring at me and Christian, eyes wide, mouths open. "Mom, Dad, you remember Christian," I said, and flirtingly kissed Christian on the cheek. "Is it too soon to call us boyfriends?" Christian said, with a sly grin. "I like that. My long-lost boyfriend," I said. Dad pulled a suitcase from the car and then stopped once again to stare at us. "Boyfriends?" "Mom, Dad, remember that subject you never wanted to talk about? I guess it's too late to talk about it now. With the way Hunter and Christian were kissing, it's probably way past the boyfriend stage. I get to plan the bachelor party. Doesn't that make me the best man?" Marty said. Both Christian and I started chuckling, and we lightly kissed. Again. "Marty, what do you mean?" Mom asked. "Don't be dense, Mom. There's always a bachelor party before a wedding," Marty said, and lifted his beer to salute us. The end. Thank you for joining me. I appreciate it. Peace.